Okay, sir.
Okay. Very good morning, all the participants. I am Dr. R.P. Ando Kumar, coordinator of software cell of St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering. On behalf of St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering, I welcome all of you for this webinar. Before introducing the guest speaker, a few instructions to you. Throughout the webinar, please mute your audio so that there won't be any disturbances in the presentation. And you can mute your video also to reduce the bandwidth usage. At the end of the webinar session, you can, if you have any queries, you can click the raise hand button so that we will be unmuting your audio so that you can ask the queries to the speaker and get clarified. Also, you can type your queries in the chat window also. That will be also addressed by the speaker at the end of the session. And one more kind information to you all. Except yesterday's webinar, all the previous webinar certificates were already shared to you. Hope you have downloaded from our site. The link already sent to your email ID. Sorry, one more thing. The first webinar certificate we didn't issue till now. Others we issue except yesterday's webinar. So yesterday's will be sending it shortly. So at the end of the webinar session, we will be sharing a link for a feedback form. So filling the feedback form is mandatory because for producing the certificate, we are getting the information from the feedback form. So please take at the maximum care to enter your data correctly, your name, college name, and your designation and your email ID. If your email ID is wrong, you won't get the link to download your certificate. So please take maximum care while you are entering the feedback form. The link will be shared at the end of the session. So with these instructions, I like to introduce today's guest speaker. Today's guest speaker is Dr. M. Jermin Nisha. She is working as associate professor in EEE Department of St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering. She has graduated in electronics and instrumentation engineering from Nurul Islam College under MS University. She completed ME degree in process and control instrumentation from Annamalai University and completed PhD doctoral degree at the Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. She is having more than 12 years of teaching experience as well as research experience. Her fields of interest is control system, artificial intelligence, and renewable energy. So today she is going to present a webinar on applications of ANSYS, that is Adaptive Neuro Fuzzy Interface System for Prediction. With this small introduction, I welcome Madam. Welcome, Madam Jermin, Madam.
Welcome, sir. Thank you. Sir.
Now you can continue the webinar. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon to all. Thank you all for being here for this webinar on application of ANSYS for prediction. First of all, let me focus on the significance of this topic. First, let me initially pick out the word prediction. What is prediction? Prediction means a guess on what might happen in future based on the past experience and understanding, right? For example, if suppose if you are reading a storybook, after reading the first and second chapters, we might be able to guess what would happen in the third chapter. Yes, based on what? Based on the experience and understanding and knowledge what we gain from the first and second chapters. Yes, that is what predictions. Then again, why prediction plays a vital role in day-to-day life. Again, for example, suppose if we need to have a safe flight, definitely we need to have the prediction of weather. And again, if we need to have a successful business in stock market, definitely we need to have a better prediction of stock market indices, right? So in such a way, we can keep on listing out many factors on which this prediction plays a vital role. So, and another thing, next term, ANFIS. ANFIS, if you see, it is one among the machine learning techniques. It is widely applied in most of the fields. It's mainly for prediction. I mean, model, ANFIS model for prediction. So these are the reasons behind choosing this particular topic. So with this small introduction, let me go on into the slides. Coming to the outline of my presentation, first is introduction. Next, some few applications of ANFIS in various fields. Then architecture of ANFIS. Then steps for developing ANFIS model. Then explaining the same steps with a simple example. Example for prediction using ANFIS model. Then few drawbacks of ANFIS model. Then again, the new emerged technique, extreme ANFIS model. Then finally, scope for research with conclusion. Okay, again coming to the introduction part. If you want to know about ANFIS, definitely we need to know some basics about fuzzy logic as well as neural network, because ANFIS is the combination of both the neural network as well as fuzzy logic. With that in mind, I'll take a brief introduction about both fuzzy logic as well as neural network. Coming to the next slide. Here, first, fuzzy logic. Again, a simple example. If you take a Boolean logic and if you're asking a question, right, is it hot today? Okay, for Boolean logic, what will be the output? It will be either yes or no. I mean, either the answer would be 1 or 0. Yes. If suppose the same question, is it hot today? If we ask to the fuzzy logic, the output may be it's very hot, or it is little hot, or it is not at all hot, etc. So in general, I can say this fuzzy logic has the capability to make decision as human. Okay, so this is the key advantage of fuzzy logic, which this ANFIS takes into role. And coming to the basic block diagram, this is the basic block diagram, and input is crisp input. There is a fuzzifier. Then the fuzzy input sets are given to the inference table, then to the defuzzifier, and finally the crisp output. So here the rules play vital role. Rules are the one which are decided by the expert who is designing the fuzzy model. And so as a whole, I can say the key advantage of this fuzzy logic, that is decision making as human, is the what which we consider for ANFIS. Then coming to the next one, that is neural network. Neural network, as we all know, it mimics the human brain. Yes. Coming to the architecture, this is a very basic architecture: input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. And neural network is nothing but it is a system which learns to perform tasks based on considering experience or considering some examples. Okay. So here the main task here is to generate a neural network model. The main thing to be done is training of the neural network. So here another block diagram I have by the side, which shows how we train a neural network model. So here again, this is the actual plan. This is the neural network model. We are giving some input, say U of n to the plan. The same input is taken as input to the neural network model also. Then the output of the neural actual plan is also considered for training with the delay. In addition, we can give the output of the same neural network model also as input to the neural network model. Why? What is the reason for including this is to improve the dynamics of the model. That's it, nothing else. So as a whole, the output of the plan as well as the output of the neural network, these two are subtracted, or the difference is calculated, and that is what the error. This error is the one which decides whether the network training has to be stopped or to be continued. If the error is within the tolerable limit, the weights will not be adjusted further and the network training stops. If the error is beyond the limit, beyond the tolerable limit, again it goes for adjusting the weights of the neural network, and again the entire process gets repeated. So here what I want to focus is neural network has the capability to learn from examples. Okay, examples, what I mean is the training inputs, some input pattern we are using for training, right? From those it could be able to gain some knowledge and it can adapt itself. So so one of the major advantage or key advantage which this ANFIS takes into role is learn and model non-linear and complex relationships. Okay, so with this brief introduction, we'll enter into our topic of discussion, that is adaptive neuro-fuzzy inference system, ANFIS. It is also called as neuro-fuzzy system in simple, or hybrid learning algorithm. Okay, now as I told already, the adaptive neuro-fuzzy inference system is the combination of neural network as well as fuzzy logic. So we all know whenever we merge two techniques together, definitely its advantages also will be taken together, right? So in such a way, here the neural network's adaptive capability and the fuzzy logic's qualitative capability and human reasoning capability, these two will be merged together and it makes the ANFIS system more intelligent. So as a whole, I can say these two, the combination of these two makes the system better intelligent, as well as it will gain the qualitative and adaptive capability. So with this basics, we'll enter into the basic architecture of ANFIS. This is what the structure of ANFIS. So by seeing this, everybody can understand its structure is similar to ordinary neural network, right? It has many layers, and each layers or many nodes and layers which are being interconnected. So it is similar to neural network. So here I'll define what is ANFIS. Okay, ANFIS is nothing but it is a fuzzy system in which the parameters are tuned by this Varun sir.
Yeah, ma'am, you can continue.
So this particular structure is similar to neural network model, right? It has some layers and some interconnections. So here there are some parameters to be tuned, which we'll discuss very clearly when seeing the architecture more in detail. Okay. Now with this small introduction, like what is ANFIS and how its structure looks like, with this basic introduction, we'll enter into certain applications. The purpose of including these slides are okay. First of all, let me tell why I included these slides. Actually, these slides I am not going much in detail. I'm not going to explain much in detail. Just I want to tell you or focus you like there are broad applications of ANFIS in all fields of engineering. That's it. So that the participants from different branches may stay focused. So with that meaning, first let me take the information and communication field. In that, if you see, first application which I have quoted is refining search engine results, maybe by using keywords or synonyms, whatever. So we know already Google is the popular search engine which we are all are using in our day-to-day life. In that, it is using machine learning techniques for refining its search engine results. And this ANFIS is also one among the machine learning techniques which could be successfully applied. And in Google, not only for filtering the quality of the search results, in addition, it can also refine the spam mails, or it can track the malwares. So whatever, all those applications, this ANFIS could be well suitable. Then next is for image and speech recognition, and also for online fraud detection. All these things are comes under information and communication field. Next is medical field. Medical field, this ANFIS plays a great role. First, if I take epidemics outbreak prediction, this epidemics outbreak prediction is nothing but predicting the spread of the disease globally. Even now, we are under the struggle of COVID-19, no? And the entire medical stream is like suffering because of this COVID-19. And here I can quote an example. See, this WHO is often suggesting certain instructions to do and not to do. Certain instructions it is giving, right? But it is based on certain predictions, definitely. So recently I read a paper also, which was published for predicting this COVID-19 in a very good journal. So what I need to focus is, there are research in this ANFIS 19. There are applications in this ANFIS for the medical field throughout. Then next is drug discovery and manufacturing, for discovering drug or either to manufacture, whatever. Then for smart health records. Then for identifying cancerous tumors. So these are the important topics under medical field in which this ANFIS is successfully applied. Next is under mechanical engineering field. See, first we take autonomous vehicles. See, vehicles capable of sensing its environment and operate without human effort or human involvement is what? Autonomous vehicles. See, here in this autonomous vehicles, it creates and maintains a map of the surroundings based on a variety of sensors outputs. So based on the sensors outputs, it can predict what will happen in few seconds ahead. Accordingly, it can do its autonomous driving work without any interruption. So here, this particular work is going on in many developed countries, and then design and manufacturing side, this ANFIS is widely applied. Coming to the next, civil engineering field. Civil engineering field, there is a paper again in channel stability analysis using ANFIS. So maybe tunnel stability could be analyzed under different pressure conditions. Under different pressure conditions, it could be analyzed and we could suggest certain things, right? Similarly, for prediction of unconfined compressive strength, then for swelling potential of soils and permeability estimation, etc. All these areas widely, this ANFIS could be applied under civil engineering. Then coming to the application of ANFIS under electrical engineering. First thing is identifying malfunctions in transmission and distribution. Again, malfunction in the sense maybe power quality issues or power fluctuations or smart grid issues or earthing problems, whatever. All these things could be easily monitored and maintained or tracked very clearly using this ANFIS. Then again, in autonomous vehicle, electrical parts are more. There also research is going on by using this ANFIS. So with this brief introduction about the application, I think I would have grabbed the attention of the participants of different branches. With this brief introduction about the applications of ANFIS in various fields, we'll enter into the architecture of ANFIS. Coming to the architecture of ANFIS. Earlier I discussed ANFIS is nothing but it is a fuzzy system in which the parameters are tuned using the neural network algorithm. Okay, so this is the simple definition of ANFIS. So here again, that's the reason I'll start with the rules. I'll start with the fuzzy rules and then I'll enter into the architecture. So here, if you take, I have taken two rules, if-then rules, and another one thing here to be noted is I have taken the Sugno model. In fuzzy, no, you have Sugno model as well as Mamdani model. In Sugno model, if you see, the output will be either constant or linear. But in the case of Mamdani model, the output will be fuzzy set. So that is the reason mostly the Sugno model is widely preferred for any research work. So in that, with that in mind, I have taken this here. It is taken from Sugno model, and here the if-then rules are: if x is a1 and y is b1, then f1 equal to p1x plus q1y plus r1. Then if x is a2 and y is b2, then f2 is equal to p2x plus q2y plus r2. So this is the these are the rules. Two rules I have chosen, and this particular algorithm I am describing now, it was proposed by Professor Zhang in the year 1993. The same algorithm I am explaining. Okay, so this particular rules you could see here. This is the membership function of the a1, b1, a2, b2 are the linguistic variables which are shown by this membership functions, and the membership functions which are chosen here is bell-shaped membership functions, and the inputs are x and y. X and y are the crisp inputs, and a1, b1, a2, b2 are linguistic variables. So, see, normally if you want to invent anything new, definitely we need to know what is already existing very clearly. Only then we can go for the new option. Yes. So with that in mind, I'll explain each and every layer what is happening in this ANFIS. This particular structure is the same as that of the structure which I had shown already. Already I had shown an architecture, no, with some same 5 layers. Both are same, but to make it easy to explain, I have taken the 4th layer. Actually, in the earlier slide, 4th layer was here. I have taken the 4th layer from there and placed separately to explain more clearly. That's it. So coming to the adaptive neuro fuzzy inference system architecture, you could see here, as per the rules. Actually, I am deriving based on the rules. This X and Y are the inputs. A1, A2, B1, B2, or some fuzzy membership functions, and or linguistic variables. And here, these are the nodes. These are the 2 nodes. And coming to the layers, this is 1st layer, 2nd layer, 3rd layer, 4th layer, and last one, 5th layer. Coming to the 1st layer, this 1st layer is an adaptable layer. It has certain variables to be tuned. In the sense, here if I take the membership function as a bell-shaped membership function, the parameters to be tuned are A, B, and C. 3 parameters are to be tuned for each membership function. So for each input, I have considered two membership functions here. And these 2 membership functions output of this particular membership function will be mu of A, mu AI. I have shown here. Normally, the output of membership function will be described by the symbol mu. So that is the reason here it is specified as mu AI. So output of this is mu A1, output of this is mu A2, mu B1, mu B2. Okay. Now, coming to the 2nd layer, that is multiplication layer. It is not at all an adaptable. It is a fixed node. There is no modification at all. Okay. What it does is, whatever is coming as input, it just find the product. That's it. So the output of this, which is shown as W1 now, which is nothing but mu A1 into mu B1. That is what shown here. Mu A1, mu B1. Then again, output of this particular product block is mu A2, mu B2. So this W1 and W2 we have defined. Now coming to the 3rd layer, that is normalization layer, which is nothing but which is the firing strength. It calculates the firing strength, and here this output of this particular normalization layer is also not an adaptable layer. It is also a fixed layer. It does normalization. That is it. So output of this layer would be, this particular node will be W1 by W1 plus W2. Similarly, the output here will be W2 by W1 plus W2. Now these this W1 bar and W2 bar, which is the output of this normalization layer, no, that is taken over here for the consequent part. Okay, and here this is the 4th layer in which we are giving input as P1, Q1, R1, P2, Q2, R2. These are the, and again here, this layer is also very important. This is an adaptable layer in which some parameters are to be tuned. So here the parameters to be tuned are P1, Q1, R1, P2, Q2, R2. So we call these parameters as consequent parameters. And again here for the 1st layer, I told some parameters, right? A, B, C for each membership function. They are called as premise membership functions. So premise membership function, premise parameters and consequent parameters are the tunable parameters. Then the output of this particular consequent layer is nothing but this F1, which is Q1x plus Q1y plus R1. No, that F1 will be multiplied by this W1 bar and will be given to the last layer, which is the summation layer. Similarly, F2 will be given as input to the last layer again. So the 5th layer, again, it is a fixed layer. There is no adaptation, only fixed layer. It does summation function. That's it. So this both the outputs, that is F1 into W1 bar, F2 into W2 bar, both will be summed up. So W1 F1 plus W2 F2. That is the output of this 5th layer. So this is what the explanation about the basic architecture, which is explained by Professor Jang in his paper in 1993. With this understanding, so here, while designing a model, important things to be considered is type of membership function. Okay, then premise parameters, then consequent parameters. So first of all, let us note down why we go for this bell-shaped membership function. See, in bell-shaped membership function, there are certain advantages compared to a triangular or trapezoidal or whatever membership functions. If you see bell-shaped membership function, it is very smooth. You could see there is no zero anywhere. It is non-zero and smooth throughout. So that is the reason for choosing this bell-shaped membership function. And as we all know, membership function, it characterizes the fuzziness, or membership function is nothing but it's a fuzzy set. So with this, because of these reasons, and we are considering bell-shaped membership function for this ANFIS. Next, coming to the design main part, the parameters to be tuned. As I told already, the parameters to be tuned are A, B, C. A, B, C is the one which decides the position and shape of the membership function. Next is the consequent parameters P1, P2, Q1, P2, Q2, R2. Okay, P1, Q1, R1, P2, Q2, R2. And the number of membership functions. Number of membership functions is also a tunable one. We can decide the number of membership functions. For this particular architecture, there are each input, it has 2 membership functions, right? We can increase the number of membership functions also. It is a tunable parameter. Then type of membership function. We can decide the type of membership function also depending on the application. Coming to the algorithms used. While tuning, if you are, we understood the algorithm architecture, what are to be tuned for making the model ready. These things are clear now. Coming to the optimization algorithm used. This particular, for this, if suppose if you are using ANFIS toolbox in MATLAB, some inbuilt functions are there. Show those alone. One is backpropagation, hybrid. These are already inbuilt. So you can just select the ANFIS option settings and you can program it. Okay, these are the options. If you are interested to do the same ANFIS by some other algorithm to improve the performance or to invent something new in general, definitely you can do it and you can link it with your MATLAB program. So the inbuilt optimization methods available for this ANFIS or backpropagation and hybrid, which are widely applied. Then coming to the steps for developing ANFIS model. So steps for developing, first step is load, training and testing data. So load, training and testing data. Before loading, one more important thing, collecting, training and testing data. Collecting, training and testing data is very important because if the data is perfect, definitely training model will get trained in a perfect way. If model is trained in a perfect way, definitely the output that is the prediction will be much accurate, right? So while collecting the data, better collect data from real-time process side. Maybe for example, if you are doing something related to windmill, you can collect data from actual windmill through proper channel. If you are doing something related to meteorology like rainfall prediction, etc., you go for collecting data from meteorological department through proper channel. So if you do so, definitely the model which you it will be much better and it will give out very good results. So that is the first thing. Second is defining inputs and outputs. So you can define the input. The user or the designer can make the inputs and outputs, define it. To improve the dynamics of the model, you can define as many inputs if you are interested in. Then generate FIS model. This is the second step. Loading, then generating FIS model. FIS model is nothing but fuzzy inference system model. Fuzzy inference system model can be generated either by your own algorithm or by inbuilt function that we'll see in the next coming slides. Okay, there is an inbuilt function also in MATLAB. Anyway, we'll generate the FIS model as the next step. Then while generating FIS model, we will be choosing the number of membership functions, type of membership functions, and the optimization method. Then next to this generation of FIS model, training ANFIS. As I told in the first introduction itself, based on experience and understanding, we are able to guess something, what happens, right? So this experience and understanding how this ANFIS gets by training. If you train with the proper data, definitely ANFIS will be able to predict very good results. So training is done. Then after training, we have to validate it, whether the model is working in a better way. So we'll go for testing ANFIS. Testing data also we'll provide and we'll check whether the ANFIS is giving out the expected result. If it gives the expected result, or if the error is acceptable or within the tolerable limit, then okay, your model is perfect and you can go for using the model for for the real-time predictions. If no, again you go for tuning the parameters, whichever is possible, and again you train, and finally you will get a better model. Okay, so this is the basic structure for developing an ANFIS model. With this understanding, we'll enter into a small real-time example, that is rainfall prediction example. Okay, so here just I'll give you an example for developing ANFIS model for rainfall prediction using MATLAB. So here again, here I have not shown the data set. Just I will show the method by which you have to collect the data. See, you have to collect the data in such a way that inputs at the first and output. Okay, I have collected in such a way for 1, 2, 3, 4 inputs, and last one is output. So since it is rainfall prediction, based on my understanding, you can use some other parameters also. Okay, some other parameters not fixed. Based on my understanding, what I have considered is humidity, wind direction, temperature, pressure, and finally output in millimeters. Rainfall is the output. So this is what the data is that I collect from proper channel from some meteorological department. Okay, after collecting the data, I can save it in the MATLAB. And first thing is I have to load the data to my workspace. So for that, I can use the function. This is the important function, load file name. See, before that, I'll just show the program. I'll just show another, this is the another file which I had stored. This is a set of lines which we use for predicting rainfall. This is a set of codings. Actually, I don't want to confuse by explaining each and every line. I'll just focus on the important functions alone. Okay. So coming to the main slide. Okay, so coming to the main slide. So I'll tell just the important function. First is load function. Next is, as we saw the steps, first step, second step over there is generating the FIS model. GenFIS of input data and output data. So this GenFIS is the function, inbuilt function, which we can use if you're using MATLAB. Okay, if you're using MATLAB, GenFIS is the function which generates the FIS model based on the training data and output data, input and output data, which you load in the MATLAB workspace. So when you're generating the FIS model, the membership function arrangement are shown here. This is the membership function of humidity. This is for wind direction. This one is for temperature, and this one is for pressure. So all of these are the one which I get as output when using GenFIS. Next is when using, and next step is training. As we saw in the steps, what is the flow chart? There is the next step is training. So train the FIS using the specified training data and options. So here again, the next function used in MATLAB is ANFIS. Using this function, you can easily train the particular model which you have created in the second step using this ANFIS function. And after training, for the structure of your your membership functions of the input looks like this. Okay, then last step is eval-FIS. Eval-FIS is nothing but evaluating, as we said, as we saw in that flow chart. Last step is testing. So we are testing whether the model is working better. So for that, the function which is used is eval-FIS. So in general, as a whole, only we are dealt with only 4 functions: load function, GenFIS, then ANFIS, then eval-FIS. Using this 4 function, you can easily program a MATLAB. In MATLAB, you can easily program the ANFIS model. So here, this is the output they got for predicting, or evaluating, or predicting, or testing with some sample test inputs. And you could see both are almost overlapping, actual planned output as well as the ANFIS output, almost overlapping. And you could see the error is also very less, it is tolerable. So the model is working in a better way. So this is a very simple example which could be used for for any such models, any such applications. Then coming to the hybrid learning algorithm, see here in Zhang's paper, what they have used is this hybrid learning algorithm. Here they have premise parameters as well as consequent parameters, as we discussed earlier. So premise parameters, and here, what are the training rule is, first the forward pass will be done, in which the premise parameter will be fixed and the consequent parameter will be tuned by least square estimator. Okay, so forward pass, premise parameter is fixed, some random value fixed, and consequent parameter is tuned by least square estimator. Then coming to the second part of tuning, that is backward pass, the premise that is the consequent parameters are fixed and the errors are reflected backward. So the tuned the premise parameters are tuned using gradient descent algorithm. Okay, so this is nothing but hybrid learning algorithm, which if suppose if you are using the hybrid option in the available ANFIS toolbox, this is what the algorithm it is doing. So here, why I am describing it is, here there is a drawback, that is only differentiable membership function can be used. Reason is, if you see this gradient descent, there are gradients, that is differentiation will be done in the algorithm. So only if the membership function is a differentiable one, you can go for this particular algorithm. Okay, that is one disadvantage. And again, it is an iterative method. We all know this gradient descent, it's an iterative method. So definitely it takes more time for stopping its training. Then ANFIS has strong computational complexity restriction also. Computation is complex. So with this, we'll come to the next slide, focusing on the advantages as well as disadvantages. Advantages, if you see, approximating capability with very good accuracy. It's proved in many papers. Next, coming to the drawbacks, overfitting. Overfitting is one of the problem which this ANFIS could recognize. Overfitting in the sense like if you are in this particular example, if you see in this graph, you could see the data is entirely fitting over the data set. Here you could see it is just moving smoothly over the data set, right? Here, which could here in both the cases, generalization will be better in this particular model than this model. But in ANFIS, overfitting will occur since we are using iteration by iteration. If you are increasing the number of epochs, automatically it gets overtrained. There is a problem over there. Then one more important disadvantage is computational complexity is more. If you want to make a model ready for prediction, training will be done for some number, the time taken will be more, as well as the complexity will be more, since more parameters are there to be tuned. So next, so there are some drawbacks. Next to this, what is the emerged modified ANFIS? If you see, no, this is the next slide, which shows the emerged or the modified ANFIS, we can say, which shows little better result when compared to ANFIS. So here, no, extreme ANFIS, I just focus you. There's a small modification they did, and they developed a new model. So that's what I want to tell you. Based on the gap we recognize, we saw a gap here. No, it is having overfitting problem. Computation is, complexity is more, training is lengthy. With that in mind, they had developed a new model in which the premise parameter is randomly assumed and the consequent parameter is tuned by least square method. That's it. So only forward pass they are using here. They are not going for backward pass and forward pass alternatively. In the earlier hybrid learning, both are done alternatively. But in the case of extreme ANFIS, only premise parameter is randomly assumed and consequent parameters are immediately done using least square method. So definitely by the explanation itself, it's very clear. Definitely the training time will be less. Also, complexity is very less. Okay. With this essence, this extreme ANFIS has a better prediction and better with less training time, which I will just show by a simple example. Small example is there, which I did, and if you see here, there is a small nonlinear function. The nonlinear function is taken, its range is defined. Here again, how many inputs are there? X and Y. These are the two inputs, and range is specified, and number of training data pairs, rules, everything is already mentioned, and testing data set, everything is mentioned. And now we will see what happens. Okay, so here they have what I'm going to show is after using the actual ANFIS, what is the result? After using this modified extreme ANFIS, what is the result? So if you see here, this is the slide which shows the both the final membership function of both. I mean the ordinary ANFIS as well as extreme ANFIS. This is for the conventional one, which is from Jang, Professor Jang. This is the modified one. If you see both, no, you could see how after tuning, how the membership functions are being changing its shape. Okay, after changing A, B, C, definitely the shape will differ. No? You could easily see over there in the diagram. And then, okay. Then next is just performance analysis. You see here, actually, what is the reason for modifying this? Computational complexity as well as time consumption. We'll see whether it is achieved or not. You could see conventional ANFIS. You could see if you compare, extreme ANFIS is doing better job when comparing the training time. Definitely, you see it is almost off. So almost off. Here again, it's very less. When we increase the membership function number, it is very less. And again, training error is also, you see, almost it is not going beyond the limit. For both the cases, it is fine. Training error is both the cases, it is fine. And again, for testing error also, you see, almost they are stable. Both the techniques are stable. So we have achieved our focus anyway. The training time is very less when compared to conventional ANFIS. So with and one more comparison they have done, we can quote here, based on the number of membership functions. You see here, for 4, number of membership function is 4, the time taken is almost off. If the number of membership function is increased to 7, it is a 1.077. Again, it is very less compared to the conventional one. Again, if I increase the number as 11, you see the conventional ANFIS is taking more time, but the extreme ANFIS is taking very, very less. It is almost remaining stable throughout. Okay. So from this, what I want to conclude is, by modifying a small change in the algorithm, we could do something new which could be more beneficial for the society. So a scope for research work, that's what I can tell. You can develop simple algorithms. You can use the same architecture, same background, with just by changing small changes in the algorithm, by using some derivative-free algorithm, some evolutionary algorithm, many evolutionary optimization algorithms are there. All those things you can use, and you can make the system much perfect than compared to the existing one. So that's what, coming to the conclusion part. So here, different optimization techniques could be developed to reduce the computational cost. Further, it could be applied for systems with faster dynamics. So that's all from my part. Hope it is useful to you. Thank you.
Participants,
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Participants, I have shared the feedback form link to your linked in the chat room. So please give the feedback. Now it's a time for the query session. So participants, please click the lower hand button. Please hit the hand button which is present below the participants list, and you can ask the questions. Today, more than 100 participants participated in this event. Madam, one question in the chat window. In what way can we choose the type of membership function? Between Raj sir is asked.
Yes. Sir, type of membership function, no, if suppose if you are using algorithm which is which has to use which is having differentiation in its side. Okay, if the algorithm has differentiation, definitely we should go for differentiable membership function. Yes. So if you see the membership function, the triangular, trapezoidal, all those there are some 0 point. No, if you take a triangle, base is both the edges base, the value is 0, right? Similarly for trapezoid also, the base there is 0. So definitely we cannot choose that triangular or trapezoidal function. But if you take bell-shaped membership function, both the edges it is non-zero and throughout it is smooth. So that is the best choice. Simple example I said. Okay, so depending upon the algorithm, I can say algorithm is the main role, has the main role in choosing the membership function, and also the process also, based on the understanding of the process and study, you can come to a conclusion.
Sir, any more queries? See, audience, please ask your doubts. Then only it will be interactive. Otherwise, this webinar will look like an YouTube video. Please. I know many people may be doing research in this area. You can type your queries in the chat room itself. You can directly ask the question or you can type also. And no other questions. I think they may be contacting you because they are having your mobile number. So regarding the questions, they may be contacting you. So I thank you, madam. Wonderful presentation, a clear presentation, and applications also. So we can be able to understand what are the applications. So thank you very much, madam. Any concluding remark from you, madam?
I thank the management as well as the software cells for this good opportunity. That's it. Thank you, participants.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you. So, a few instructions to the participants. I have already shared the link for the feedback form. So, please give your feedback. Giving feedback is mandatory because we are generating the certificate from the feedback form only. Then, all the certificates are issued except the 30th, the first webinar. That is a 30 April webinar. We didn't issue the certificate. Others, for all other webinars, the certificates were issued. So please check your email. Then this is the final webinar of this week. In the next week, we are planning. We fixed 3 webinars. That is on Monday. That is 11/5. We are planning a webinar on Cartoon machine learning using R. It will be handled by Professor Geeta Jennifer from IT Department of St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering. Then in the Tuesday, that is 12/5, a webinar is fixed, that is Fighting Future Pandemic with Blockchain. That will be handled by one of our alumni, Engineer Vimal. And Wednesday, that is 13/5, the webinar planned is Introduction to an Open Source Numerical Framework, Open Form. It will be handled by Dr. Anand Rajkumar of Mechanical Department of St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering. So again, for Thursday and Friday, the webinars title were not fixed. So from the audience, I request you, if any of our faculty members are willing to give webinar through this software cell in this platform, please call me so that I will do the preparatory arrangements and everything. Wait, I want to check how many people were entered the feedback. Today, more than 100 participants attended the webinar. Currently, there are only 50 feedbacks were entered. So I request all the participants to enter the feedback. So if you have any more queries, you can ask during this time. Today, since we crossed the 100 participants, we were able to accommodate only 100 participants. We are searching, we are planning to purchase some other tool for this webinar option. So if you are able to purchase that, then we will be able to include more number of participants. So Varun, any other point we have to share?
No, sir.
Okay, so we can go for the conclusion, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I thank all the participants, Jermin Nisha madam for the wonderful presentation. Also, I thank Varun, Anthony Jones Kumar, and Rose madam for helping me to host this everything. Varun is taking all the effort to host this and all the designing work, certification designing work, and posting of the certificate. Everything will be done by Varun with the help of Anthony Jones Kumar sir. Today, Anthony sir is in the college for some other purpose. So he was not able to join this webinar. In his absence also, I am thanking him. Thank you, Andros madam. I request all the participants to join with us on coming Monday. Then one more thing, yesterday also we were able to give this facility for 100 participants. There is a message from Bimo sir. Wait. Okay, see, there is a message from Pimo sir. Since only 100 participants were participated, if you required one more session of the Moodle, we can arrange that. So if you require that, please enter in the feedback so that we will be planning for one more session in Moodle. And also, we'll be sharing the Moodle feedback once again during that session. So you can enter the what are the things you required in future also. So I thank all of you. Thank our management, principal, deans, and all the participants and all the lecturers from our college and all the participants. Thank you one and all. Thank you. Arun, we can wind up.
Okay, sir. Thank you.